Evasive maneuvers! Dodge! Dodge! No! What are you doing? Dodge!
Rock, paper, scissors. As you ride your friends into battle. This is a short team game, Dragon and Rider, where you're playing a 2v2 to see which team of Dragon and Rider can counter the other team playing these cards. Let's go. In this game, you're gonna play as a big old dragon, or of course, that human rider riding the dragon. Of course, playing against another team of said Dragon and Rider, and you're trying to reduce each other's life points to 0 by playing these cards each from your hands. In playing these cards, you're trying to defeat your opponents through this fantasy translation of rock, paper, scissors, where it's now charge, range attack, and dodge. And if you do get that counter move going, you get a huge bonus. So every turn, both the dragon and rider will play one of these cards face down to fight the enemy. And here's the catch. Since dragons don't speak human, no talking allowed. Then both teams reveal cards and smack them together. You take the one with the highest speed here. If they're the same card, you get an even stronger attack. Just deal the damage to each other based off of what combination of cards you have. And here, since the cards are the same and they counter your opponent's charge, you get 8 damage. And that is the bare bones of what's going on. You play one card from your hand, see how it syncs up with your teammate. God, my teammate's an idiot. Then you see who gets dealt damage, and you just keep going in this loop until one of the teams is all out HP. Then the game ends. Now for the actual review of Mounting Your Friend into Battle, the game. And this game is a small box game. If you take out these player aids, there's only 18 playable cards in total. And in this game, you'll be constantly touching and using every single card. The good news is that every single card is nice and chunky in the hand and is great quality to touch. And also, they got the countering symbols on the back. Look at that. That's a nice touch on every single card, so you won't forget. And then one last thing, when you combine these together, look at that. It's full art. That's backwards. It's full art. It's pretty fun just mixing and matching these to see how it looks like. Anyways, this box is insanely easy to set up and get going. All you have to do is deal a couple cards to each player, then plop down your HP markers, and that's it. Now you can get into the 2v2 fun. Gameplay pros time. Now before we get into the team play, let's delve deeper into these cards that have cool flavor because we're riding dragons now. Charge is a huge smash that does a lot of damage, dodge prioritizes healing, and a ranged attack is like a jack of all trades that does some damage and also protects you. So if this was a normal rock, paper, scissors, I'm just gonna play what I think counters the other person. If I think he's playing a dodge, well, I'm gonna play a charge. But you know how rock, paper, scissors has a lot of scenarios where you just match? Well, this game starts going around that with a fun signaling mechanism. See, before you smack down those cards, each dragon and rider will signal to everyone on what their preference is this round. The dragon has a stance card that gives a potential bonus for the round, and the rider will discard a card face up that he cannot be using this round. The dragons flip at the same time, and then the riders will pick and then flip, which is a fun decision based off of what the dragon stance is. After all the flipping here, everyone has information on what rider cards will not be used by each team, so you can start to narrow down your choices. Let's do a demo on this and I get to be the dragon. So if my rider teammate discarded a ranged attack, he has to be playing charge or dodge from his hand. And if an opponent discarded a charge attack, he only has 2 options left in his hand, a ranged attack and a dodge. If I think he's gonna play a dodge, then I should go smash and play charge. But then, if I play that charge and he actually played a ranged attack, I'm in trouble. He counters me. This is the oh so familiar mind game that many of us have experienced before. If I think he's playing that, then I should play this. But then hold up. If he thinks that I think that he's playing that, then I should go for something else, right? Something a little more risky. But remember, this game is called Dragon and Rider. So we're introducing two new elements to this dynamic. You got an extra opponent and a teammate. And this is where things start to go crazy with the mind games. Look, you have absolutely no way to guarantee what your teammate is going to play, or what your enemy is going to play, because they are a team of their own. See, since cards have speeds, they will be overriding each other if two different types for one team get played. Charge is the fastest and just overrides everything else with its speed of 3. If you play it next to any other card, you ignore the other card. Like you ignore the slower range attack here, and this entire thing becomes a charge attack. Yeah, like you can just say, screw your partner, we're charging anyways. This is where it gets even juicier, where a charge and a range attack does a lot of damage if you get the counter off. But if it gets countered, it's absolutely terrible. You even take self-inflicted damage. So what if your team plays two of the same card? Well, that's hype, where you join your forces together and you do just more damage. 2 reds at a minimum do 8 damage, and 2 reds with that counter is 22 damage. Jesus. It all just comes together when you analyze each type of card deeper. Charge is high risk, high reward. It is the best way to do damage, but it is the only card that will outright damage yourself. Anytime you play it, that entire attack is guaranteed to be a charge, but that's not necessarily a good thing. The ranged attack is safer and will block some of the opponent's attack. And then the dodge is awesome when pulled off. Healing is nothing to scoff at, but if you get countered by an opponent's double charge, that's gonna be a lot of damage. So when you're looking at those cards in your hand, there really is never a mathematically solved play that you can converge on, because the meat of this game is all happening within your mental connection with all the other players. Yes, certain combinations do have higher probabilities of being a better play, but at the end of it all, when you nervously flip all your cards, everything is based off of what other people do. There is a constantly shifting right play to do in the moment, based off of how you read the table. Reading everyone else is the very essence of this game, so this does an amazing job of being an in-person card game. For a team game, you really feel like you're locked in this interdependent struggle with your teammate against 2 other people with their own interdependence. It's like all those mythical stories of old. You need to have that connection with your dragon, and you gotta have that to win. Whatever you play rarely means much in isolation, because there's 3 other cards that are being played that will dictate the power of your card. You flip over your card, and you just see your teammate match your color, and you get that super synergy outcome for that awesome play. Because so many things can go wrong, it's all the more awesome when you successfully double charge counter 22 damage. You and your teammate are so big one brain from 2 brains. You have read both your opponents correctly and had the same exact thought process, play red and attack, attack, and attack. And there's health to keep track of, which has a cool damage altering thing going on. As you go down in health or heal, you actually have milestones that give you more or less damage. As you get weaker, you do less damage. But if you're life critical, you do +2 damage in a massive frenzy to survive. And yeah, that can lead to cool comebacks. As the health markers move throughout the game, this is giving another reason to change your card playing preferences, right? Will people now try to heal more when pressed for health? Oh, and then look at that. You get a +1 damage if you heal past your starting amount. That's a great incentive to try healing early. Again, does your teammate Fred want to change his card playing preference based off you guys hitting 2 health? Well, you can't talk to him, so get inside his head, right? As we wrap this up, we want to point out that the actual dragon and riders you're playing as, even though they have the same text on their cards, end up feeling slightly different from one another. This goes back to the rider command, where they discard a card. If a rider discards a red, well, now your team has absolutely zero chance of going double red this round. The discard also leaves the rider with only 2 cards to choose from while attacking, but the dragon has 3 to pick from. But then the dragon picks a stance earlier in the round that the team might want to match, because those give cool bonuses when met. Like, how about getting the range attack bonus so that your unused blocks become heals? This slight difference between rider and dragon still makes the game really easy to learn, but gives a little more interest in figuring out what people's tendencies are. And of course, it adds a little bit of replay value. The final pro is that this dragon riding theme meets the mechanics fairly well. There's a speed in the cards that makes sense. You can't dodge if your teammate wants to do a range attack. Or if you do a really uncoordinated charge and it gets countered, yeah, you're gonna crash and take some damage of your own. Really, you are in this mindset where you are grabbing your friends and riding them throughout the skies, and just crashing if you are reckless and uncoordinated. But when your super ham red charge lines up, you swoop in for insane damage. And look, your dragon even prepared the right stance for it. And just like you can crash and fall in this game like playing a charge at the wrong time, we gotta talk about the cons. And the first one is that this game has some variable time length issues. The box says 30 minutes, which we would agree with on average. But games can take anywhere from 50 minutes, which is fine, to up to 45 minutes, where 45 minutes is where we start getting a little concerned because of this game's simplicity. Admittedly, this very time has a bit to do with the mind-freezing nature of the game, where sure, you only have a couple of cards to pick from, but you're constantly doubting yourself because of some new angle you might find in your head. Some people second guess more than others, and when this is done for 4 players, yeah, you can find serious groups and many prolonged analysis loops. However, let's get to the mechanics on why this game can get creeping towards that 45-minute mark. This game has no guaranteed endpoint to keep comebacks likely, but that can lead to drawn out games when you factor in that some combinations of attacks just don't do that much damage, and there's some ways to heal. There is a back and forth dynamic that is encouraged where maybe one team is winning really hard, the other team's losing, and then there's a comeback. And then that team is now healing himself up, and then you can reverse again, and then reverse again, and then reverse again. This sounds exciting where you don't know which team will win, right? But in practice, well, you're still only playing the same 3 combat cards every turn, so that can get tedious. So let's talk about some ways to get this game closer to a 15 to 20 minute mark. First, we want to see the game have some sort of soft ending, where it tells you to hurry up after a certain round. We were thinking after the 6th round that every single attack has a +2 damage modifier, every single attack. And then at the 10th round or so, this damage increase could be up to maybe 3 or 4. The second solution has to do with this double charge we've been hyping up that does 22 damage, right? Well, that is actually a lie. Yeah, it's a lie. It's not actually 22 damage. See, when you do this counterattack, meaning it's up against a double green, the double green heals as well. So the actual damage ends up being 15. When we look at the starting health, that means 2 full charge attacks puts you at life critical, which feels definitely intentional, but the game is still going and has no promise of ending soon after that. If you messed up that badly in this simple game, you should have lost already. A simple fix here would be making the starting health 29 instead of 35. That way, 2 full power charges are enough to kill you. But we wouldn't be opposed to dropping the starting health even lower to 20. This is the trade between wanting comeback potential and a shorter game. And when we look at the gameplay loop and the 3 cards, we want that shorter game. If this game was more like 15 to 20 minutes, then, well, once you hilariously crash with a buddy and mess up, you can just run it back. Or if you just don't like your teammate and you're not connecting with him, you can just make new teams. The next con is a little related off this time length, where the game prevents you from communicating at all. You cannot talk about the game during the game at any way at all. Yeah, for a game that can run past 30 minutes, where you 100% cannot talk about gameplay matters, it's not that fun. Luckily, the rulebook does have exactly what we recommend. That is, a public communication variant, where you can talk about anything in the game, as long as everyone can hear it. That way, you don't have a forcefully quiet game for 30 minutes plus. This variant should have been the actual game itself. I know it's technically unthematic for dragons and riders to talk to each other because dragons don't speak human, but who cares? Okay, this game is a bluffing game, and think of like poker, where you want to communicate to get into your opponent's heads through fake tells or trash talk. Here, part of the fun is also getting in your teammate's head. Obviously, having some secret code would be cheating, but congratulating your teammate or complaining about the card you played last round is part of that teamwork fun that is banned in the initial rules. So yeah, just play with the variant. That's it for the cons. Now it's time for the nitpicks. The main one here is that there is a 1v1 mode. And yes, while it is technically functional, it's not something we recommend playing more than once. In this mode, you play as both rider and dragon. You get to see both their hands of cards as you program at the same time. So out goes the window, all the guessing on your teammate and your opponent's teammate. The core gameplay here is exactly the same, and it doesn't hold up too pretty. There's no threat of your cards getting overridden by a teammate's card, like a charge, so you lose a lot of tension. Without going too much into detail, you just end up defaulting to specific safe plays, like a double blue, if you know you can't get countered. Also, the 1v1 just feels more repetitive without those two extra players to hold that mind game interest. There is still mind games, since countering is still a thing in 1v1, it's just that this mode obviously wasn't the intention of this team-centric game. Then let's talk about replayability. The main draw here comes from freshening up team dynamics, where you can mix and match members to create new sorts of connections going on. Of course you can't do that in 1v1, right? Overall though, for 2v2 games, we're curious if something like different dragon abilities or different stance cards would have added some more spice to repeat plays. Not a big deal though, because there's a lot you can do with the 2v2 dynamic just switching team members. That's always pretty fun. Last couple nitpicks, let's talk about some quick iconography. First, for a game with big dragons, it has some small symbols and text. The attacking bonuses on health areas is too small, and these countering icons on the attack cards are so small too. Or what about the player aids, which show the countering dynamic, but doesn't even color code it? What the heck? Then we wish the cards per team were varied. The dragons and riders are always just the same color, fighting against the same color dragon. There's no team blue versus team red thing on the front of these, come on. Now it's time for a tentative score on Dragon and Rider, where we critically evaluate the pros and cons, but who knows what changes will come in the future with this Kickstarter launch. So, Dragon and Rider is gonna get a 7 out of 10. It's tentatively good. With the clean, one card signaling from each player, you are locked into this mind-guessing extravaganza on what other people's tendencies are. 3 other people. Is Fred super aggro? Is he playing charge for the 3rd time in a row? I don't know, he's my teammate. Maybe I should know that. We here at Shelfside just haven't seen anything that tackles this 2v2 non-party niche where both players are so reliant on each other and is able to be learned in minutes. Mechanics are literally just playing 2 cards, with 3 cards in your hand to pick from. We have to stress that with the information, being the stances, rider discards, or HP context, your attacks don't feel random if you play with a thoughtful buddy. This game is exactly what it appeared like to us at first. A well done rock, paper, scissors game with Dragon Rider teams. Each team has the same cards. There's no special phases or abilities to keep track of. So you should go into this game 100% with a casual mindset overall. While that only 4-player count and super simple gameplay loop makes this something that might fly by your traditional serious board gamers, Dragon and Rider is okay with that. It's not trying to be the jack of all trades go-to filler or the next bingeable small box game. It's the oh so familiar, yet oh so clever 30-minute social exercise in getting you into each other's heads. So especially when your HP reaches critical, you're doubting your decisions with your fellow dragon that you have mounted and are now flapping into battle, and looking directly at in the eyes from time to time. My personal score for Dragon Rider is going to be a 5 out of 10. I have an average time with it. The thought of this game's concept is utterly fantastic to me, and you betcha I was jumping to play it, and it did deliver. Super tense moments, great teamwork opportunities. There's that moment that was referenced many times where you both play a card. Where'd it go? You go like, and you flip it, and you're like, oh my god! That's just some silly fun. This just doesn't have enough going on to grip me for its time length. The cycle of playing 3 cards is constantly tense. It just doesn't have enough to grip me when I'm doing the same 3 cards every single turn. 3 cards again and again, and again, and again. The game is constantly giving me fun flashbacks of game theory class, where you have probabilities of people converging on certain outcomes, which is fun to think about, but maybe not for an entire game for me. As one of my friends pointed out, this game, if shortened, feels like an amazing minigame you can throw in some other game, like maybe even a D&D campaign. This really just feels like a game I would love if I was in high school, where getting people together for a simple multiplayer card game was so easy. I imagine 16-year-old me would just love to watch people play this game, constantly mixing and matching a group of 20 or so friends. But nowadays, I don't really have that environment, and Dragon Rider is not substantial enough for me to plan around it, but also a little too long for me to be a casual filler. I believe that this RPS on roids is going to be so fun to play with non-board gamers and see how they react. And to that degree, I'm super glad to have this on hand and to have tasted it to see what this advanced RPS can do to your brain. So as I ride my friends into battle, you betcha I'm implementing all my house rules to make this game far shorter. Far shorter. As always, thanks to our patrons for making videos like this possible. We got Manuel G, Brian C, Clifford H, Aaron W, Max B, Bora, Jeremy M, Sarge C, Charlie P, Quinton S, Chan S, Travis R, Abdul Y, Vomsky, Ryan D, Jeff L, Brad M, Matt G, Spears Z, Spears 71, Ryan J, Brad G, Tiamal Period, Mark A, James N, Evan B, Charles P Jr., Josh J, Basketball, Rado, Sophie, Ryan Z, Colin Allen, Hudson T, Pearson B, Omar F, MY, Ethan P, Bradley J, John C, Galvin V, Angel Collector, and Andy C. We also got 3 Mad cardboard. We got 2 Mad cardboard. We got 3 Mad cardboard. ZL, Jeff L, and this guy there. And we also got 1 Mad Lady cardboard. We got Amy. Yeah, this is Dragon Rider. Let me know about any other team games you want me to cover. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. More stuff coming out all the time, guys. Later. Bye-bye.